Welcome to the Meet the HR segment on The Right Show. We still have our able HR madam,
Beatrice Chuchu from our Tribal HR Solution.
Yes, and for the last 2 weeks we've been talking about how to do a proper CV, how to do a proper cover letter, and today we're going to talk about things that may affect your chances of getting hired. For example, marital status, we have age, disability, we have things like
Photos,
a lot of things. So we'll be able to look at that today on our show. So be ready, be ready, be ready. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you for having me again.
We are very grateful to have you. So today we're going to look about things that affect your chances of getting hired. For example, age. Should you include your age, your marital status, your religion in your CV and your cover letter? Yes.
Let me say this, yeah? A CV and the cover letter, as we talked about, they're selling you. And whatever is important need to be there. But you see, these are the things that people keep adding on them.
Yes.
Like, let me start with the photos. You have people you want to look there, maybe in a suit or smiling and all that.
Looking all good and all pretty.
Yes. But you see, unless the job requires the visual look, which the employer in these cases will ask for it.
Oh.
Yes, they'll be very clear. Give us your photo or send your photo. That is very clear.
Yes.
If it's done that and they've requested for it, then it's important for you to provide.
Okay.
But if it's not, then leave it out. Yeah, it's not really necessary because it shouldn't affect your to be hired. It doesn't affect your chances of getting hired.
Yeah.
That I'll give you a job because you look like this, unless the job requires that.
But if not, kindly don't.
Kindly just, why should you let me see you before I meet you? And I don't need it. Why do you want me to be influenced by your look before I get to meet you?
True.
But if the job requires that, then provide for it.
Okay.
So it's good for us to avoid that.
Okay. So there is the date of birth. Is it necessary for me to put so that they can know my age, and is age a factor when getting hired?
Okay, positions dictate maybe the age, yeah? You may find some positions that just dictate the age.
Yes.
And age comes also with experience. So, in most cases, even if you don't give us the date of birth, by looking at when you were in school, we're able to estimate your
That's
age.
enough reason to know how old you are.
We still have other ways of asking for age.
Okay.
You can just request for your ID copy if we want to hire you. We can even ask you on an interview, ask you, and how old are you? You can be able to give us that information. So, for us, that is not a key thing to be on the CV.
Yeah.
Unless it is requested for. And the fact is, even if it's not there, we can still get it from the information.
Yeah.
But you find most, like young people, and I like being very clear on this.
Yes.
Young people, like you've just finished school, it's okay, just put it. But as you continue to grow career-wise, you find these are things that don't matter to employers.
Yes.
And if they want to hire you, they want to get the qualifications or the technical expertise that you have, and also the experience. Those are the things that first of all will come in, other than the skills that you have developed over work, and maybe specific skills that have come up. Those ones will definitely be the determinant of being hired. But you find age, and if you find at other times, you may find an employer who is saying we need age 27 to 30
this
or 25 to that, because of the nature of jobs.
Yeah.
Because you remember, as there are some jobs that young people do very well. Maybe they require them to run a lot.
Yes.
They require them to climb places and traveling a lot. You don't need to. You can easily be told travel today. Tomorrow you have to go to Peru. Tomorrow you have to go to Rwanda, and it's very easy for a young man to do that.
Yes.
So you may find such jobs require maybe young people. And what normally we do, we request for the age bracket.
Yeah.
Definitely this person, if he requires experience, by this time someone has worked, maybe they've asked 4 years or 3 years, and that is what we are looking for.
Yes.
So if someone fits this, because also you can be within that age, but you don't have what you're looking for.
True.
So how do you get it?
That
you
would be
can't.
very tricky.
So age is very key also, but putting the date of birth is not a must for you to put it on CV.
Yeah.
You can leave it out.
Okay.
Yes.
In the personal information,
Yes.
we have so many things. Is it okay for you to put your marital status in the personal information?
Marital status.
Yes.
There's some questions I don't like saying yes or no, but depending on the job, there are some jobs and some positions that will be given to married people. Because you know why?
Yes.
Married people, what comes with married people is they are taken to be more responsible. They
They're
have
thinking.
responsibility. They have grown.
Yes.
They have the thinking process, as you say. They are people that can be a bit stable than the very young people.
Yeah.
But putting it there or not doesn't affect your status.
So
It
you
doesn't
can
affect your status. You can put it there or leave it. It doesn't affect it. But if we need to know if you're married, we'll ask you.
And if you're single and they're saying, you know, for this
Position. If they say this position requires someone who is married, then that is a declaration which is very open. Even as you apply, you know this is a requirement.
Okay.
And that's why I'm saying, if an employer has openly said, we need this, we need a married man, we need a married woman, we need a photo, those things
kindly put it there.
put there.
But if
they have not asked for it, leave it.
don't just put it there.
Yes. Because it doesn't mean that, you know, when it comes to employment, these are additional aspects.
Yeah.
Because for someone to be hired first, what comes in first is this: do they have the skills that you're looking for?
Yes.
Do they have the experience that you're looking for? Then these other things are additional.
just-
Because you can have someone who is not married
Yes.
and they can do a job very, very well.
Very
You can have someone who is married and they can do the job very, very well. So do these people, first of all, meet the basics of a job?
Okay.
If they do, these other things are additional. We can see it's an added advantage.
Yes.
This person, because they are married, maybe they may appear to us more responsible because they are married, they are more stable, the way they carry themselves, they are more mature in such a case. So that is an added advantage, but shouldn't actually rule someone out unless it's a requirement for that job. Yeah, and depending on the nature of the work.
Someone is abled differently.
Yes.
When it comes to writing your CV, should you include there or should you just leave it? Then after your call for the interview is when you tell them, I'm able differently in this way, or should I just declare it from my CV or my cover letter?
Okay, I'll deal with that two ways.
Okay.
The employers who will say, if these people are able differently, are encouraged to apply.
Yes.
If such a case, it's good to put it on your cover letter.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you must have met the qualifications first and what is required.
Yes.
You know, even if you are able differently and you don't meet what the job requires, then you won't get it.
True.
But they'll give you an advantage if you meet what is required. The technical bit, the experience that they require. When they interact with you, they realize then you're good and you can do the job.
Yes.
So in such a case, then you have an advantage because they said they are encouraged to apply. Because you may say some saying ladies and those living with they are called physically disabled.
Yeah.
Yes, all challenged. You're encouraged to apply.
Yes.
Such a case, they'll give you that preference. But of course, you get that preference if you fit within the job requirement, you know.
Yeah.
Because even if you don't fit, then you don't work. True. But on the other hand, if the job is not that clear, that this is what they are looking for and they're encouraging such people to apply, then you don't need to. You don't need to. You know, also it can also, someone may not be looking for such and may leave you at shortlisting point because they are not looking to have that. But you can be called for an interview because you meet the requirements, you are able differently, you come and surprise us
and
in the
Like,
interview.
wow.
And they're like, wow. Even if you had no plans of getting such a person, this is a person you should hire.
Yes.
So don't just rule yourself out because of it. Because it's good. But you see, if that's not the plan, some people may drop it at some point. True. It's actually not very good, but it can happen. So leave it. But if it's declared, please put it there.
Okay. Now when it comes to religion, for example, this company is for a certain religion and you say, let me not include the religion, it won't make a difference. Does it make a difference when you either leave it or when you put it?
For me, I would say it doesn't make a difference. Reason being,
yes,
for a job, we'll say maybe the culture, you know, religion comes in because of the culture of that organization and the values of that organization. So, and before, even if you meet those culture and values and you don't have the skills, you can't be hired.
It's very tricky.
Even if you're a Christian or whichever you are, and you apply and you don't meet the requirements, you can't be hired.
It will be hard.
So for me, I would advise, these are things that, these are additionals that come. You present yourself, you're Muslim, you're Christian, and if you meet the job and you don't mind any, we'll get. If we're inclined towards a certain direction, then that is when we'll go towards a certain direction. And on the other hand is, you know, when it comes to recruitment, you also want not to be discriminating.
Very true.
Because it's against the law. So just do your CV in the right way possible. Those ones, you don't need to.
Okay, there's a point someone reaches and they send a CV and they're told, we think you're overqualified. So, what point do you look at your CV and you're like, hey, maybe I'm overqualified or I'm underqualified?
Yes.
What's the do's and don'ts not to show I am too qualified or I am qualified or I am underqualified?
Are you showing? But it's a reality. If you are, you know, every job has what it requires. Let's say, for example, you are looking for entry level person to come and do a job for us here. You give the requirements. This a person has to work maybe for 1 year, has worked for 1 year, or even just internship, you don't mind.
Yes.
Then there's a person here who has worked for 10 years or 7 years. This person is overqualified for that role. And even if you get that person, because they'll say, it's okay, I'm ready, and because I don't have a job, I'm looking for a job, you'll give them an opportunity that time. But I'm telling you, that job doesn't mean this person is not challenged by that job.
Yes.
After some time, they'll start looking out. They'll not serve you for long. It will not be a challenge to them. It'll just be another issue. First of all, you'll also pay them the salary of that position, which they are above that. So you still have a lot of problems with such people. And normally people will say, no, I want to take it because that's what is available at the moment.
Yes.
But in real sense, that person is overqualified. So when you apply for a job, it's always good. And I know people have gotten jobs even if they feel they're overqualified, and they get them. But these people, if you interact with them, they took that job because that was available. And they were asked, okay, are you willing to take what you are ready to offer? And they said yes. But that person is not really happy. They are doing it because that was what was available at the moment. So the best thing to judge yourself, look at what they are bringing on board, and look what you have. How do they weigh? Yes. Which one is heavier?
Okay.
If mine is very heavy, then you really need to say this is not where I should go.
This one is a tricky one.
It is a tricky one. And if the other jobs, you can be underqualified.
True.
And people actually say, let me try. The Christian wants to say we have faith. You know, God opens doors, and you just go and apply, and then you don't get it. Yeah. So it is. But doesn't mean it has too much, like I've worked for 5 years, and for 4 5 years, it must be 5. No, it will just be almost there.
Almost 5, an
7,
estimate.
An estimate, yeah. But you can be overqualified, and people can be dropped because of that.
Now, when it comes to following up application you've made, you've sent your CV, you've sent your application letter, and you're like, these people aren't communicating. What is the best possible way of doing a follow-up of your letter and your CV?
You see, when people said, for example, if there was an advert, it's easier to follow up. And the best thing is usually an email. You can ask, and people should actually respond. You know, the other thing that happens, we don't respond. You know, we sent out, and then people come, talk to us or call us. If you call, maybe someone may not even be able to trace your CV or even get to understand it. But it's okay. Following up is good. You can, because you want to be sure the job was, maybe the position was filled, you don't know, and you're still waiting. You're still anxious. You're still anxious.
What's happening?
Waiting, what is happening? So I don't discourage people from following up, but at the same time, don't push so hard, because sometimes people may just not, they are not only there doing it. So the best thing is you can write an email. I just request, I sent an application, just a follow-up to know if the process is still on or the position was filled. And then the people that receive that email, that's a challenge. They should be able to respond. Because even if all people apply, all people that applied sent to you, they will not send emails at the same time. One is sent today, another one tomorrow. Please just respond and tell them the position was filled or we are still in the process. Sometimes recruitment takes long. Sometimes we take CVs right now, we shortlist, and we still will do interviews in 2 weeks' time. After that, there's another process before you finish the hiring, unless it's an urgent hire. So people can become impatient. So following up is not bad, but the best thing I would advise is an email than a phone. People say I'd rather send an email and also take it physically so that I may know I took it and they saw it and now I can leave. What's the best possible way to go around that? Most of the time, any employer will give or will guide what is to be done. They'll guide and say as on email. So that tells you we want to do away with these many papers here. Clearly. So why do you want to go that direction? So you may do both and still it will not be dealt with because the instruction was said on email. And you know, even when you do said on email, sometimes they even guide you. They tell you when on the subject, write maybe the position you apply
Yes.
for ease of shortlisting.
The keywords.
The keywords, yeah. So please ensure you do that. Instructions by a potential employer need to be
very
taken
important.
seriously, because people just they just read an advert, they don't care so much, so they just go and they just apply very fast. I don't, you know, especially when you're looking for a job, you find people look and look. They don't even take note of those small
Details.
Yes, details, and they're very, very key. So how the potential employer has put it, send an email, just obey that. Definitely they'll use that whole procedure to go through. An email shortlisting on email is very easy.
Very
so
easy.
and say when they say subject, put your that they'll just going to what do we call it, to filter and just have these are the people we are going to look at. So if you left it out,
You won't get
yes.
the job.
And remember, especially in Kenya, you have so many applications that come
Very
in.
many.
So people want to have a smoother way of doing it. So ensure you follow those small instructions. Because if
Yeah.
you leave them out, you'll also be left out. And maybe you could have gotten it.
True.
Yeah.
So there is this thing people say they have already given you the job description and you have your CV. When you're tailoring your CV to fit that certain role, do you take the job description, then you carry it, take it to your CV and put it according to what you've been doing? Is that okay?
Now, let me ask you a question. As you do
Yes,
that, have you been doing what is on that
Yes,
writing?
I have, but now I want, for example, you said there's the filtering.
Yes.
So when you filter, you should be able to see some of your things on my other side. Is that okay?
If it's what you're doing,
If it's lies,
don't
I
lie. Even if you lie to us,
Yes.
remember the interview is not just, and we've come to know CVs. CVs can be smart.
Very smart.
CVs can be done, and they're very good. Even you look and like, hey, you're like, wow, I want to be
This
the-
one
but-
is a candidate for
Yes,
sure.
and you put for me all what I've put for you on your CV. Then come, we'll meet on the table. I'll ask
Good
you.
people.
Yes, I'll ask you about what you say.
I've never
And-
seen that application.
Yes, the thing is, you'll be surprised because you not answer, you not give me the right answers
Yeah.
because you've not done it. So you better be sincere. Just give what you're supposed to give. Don't just copy. Yeah. We are going to filter, yes, but we said very well in the CV.
Be
You have the
honest.
position you've held before.
Yes.
So that is very key to us. And we look at it, you've worked. So we have the experience. We're able to see number of years. You want 7, you've done 7 or 8. You've done 6. So we're still within the same range. We can have you. But don't lie to us.
Kindly.
Please don't.
Yes.
Because we'll still get you.
True. For example, a company is hiring a person.
Yes.
So you decide, before I send my letter, let me go and see what's the culture, just to see how they carry out. Is that okay?
It's okay. Even it's good to go to their website, get to
Yes.
understand what happens. If you can visit, just visit. And when you go there, you just need to know what they do. You can even interact, just get to know what they do. You know, you're not just telling them, I'm going to interact because I'm looking for a job here,
No.
because otherwise it'll be canvassing.
Yes.
So you need to be very clear. If you go to, just want to visit, get to understand what they do. Any company you can visit, by the way, any company, get to know. If you want to come
They
to say,
allow.
know how you do, the
Yes.
products you deal with, how you deal with partners, that information I'll be able to get.
Yes.
And even ask, what are your working hours? I'll get all that.
Every information.
I'll get the information that is publicly known. We say organization gives, there's always the publicly known information that you can get for any organization. It's not the
Yes.
confidential one, because that one you'll not get, but unless you're inside that business. But the publicly known information, you will get it.
Yes.
So it is important you can visit, ask those questions, get to know where they are. Even before interview, for example, if you're invited for an interview, it's always advisable to know where they are. Otherwise, you'll get late, you get lost.
You're still
It's
looking
always
for the
good.
place.
You're still looking for the place. And that's a bad sign on the first day,
True.
especially during an interview.
Yes.
So it doesn't hurt to get to know. It doesn't hurt. Yeah.
When you're quoting the amount of money that you need.
Yes.
For example, a position, people, when you talk to people in that organization, you'll be asking them, so how much money do they pay? And they give you a certain amount, for example, 200,000.
Yes,
And
yes.
your former place of work used to be paid 30,000. Should you lie or tweak a little bit, for example, say 180, so that you don't get locked out? What is the best way to approach, especially on salary expectations?
Yeah, salary expectations always become a challenge to candidates. Even when you ask them, how much do you expect to be paid and all that. But you shouldn't lie.
Okay.
Because, let me say something, structured organizations,
Yes.
they have salary scales within which they work with.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter how much you're earning. A certain position is paid this money. We'll pay you even if you're paid less. those organizations that are structured. And that is how it's supposed to be. Actually, it's supposed to be that way. Businesses should actually do that. Have salary structures whereby this entry level, we pay this to this person with this experience, we pay this to this, and it's clear.
Yes.
So if you come in, it's your favor. You know, you get it, it's for your advantage. If you're earning 30 and we're paying 150, it's advantage.
Good.
Because the moment you lie to us, well, how do you know that we're not? You know, this because people have become so cunning. We even talk to the organization. We even ask you for the pay slip.
Yes.
And if you accept the job, we tell you before we do this, we want to get the real figures from the company. So how do we get 180? We throw you out immediately. You come out as someone who is not honest. The other thing, in case you're not sure, because sometimes you may not sure how much we will pay.
Yes.
And we may ask you a question, how comes you're earning 50 and you're asking 100? You should be able to justify.
Yes.
Look at the value, bring it up from the value you are bringing to the company. How the company will benefit from you. And actually, it's advisable. You shouldn't ask for 3 times your salary unless you know that is how they pay.
Yes.
And if they pay that way, they will still get it. So it's always good to do. People have been advised, and even when you come to management, you advise maybe at least 30% of your increase is not bad. You're moving from a job to another. Yeah. It's still a good thing to do. But if a company has a structured way, definitely you'll fit and you'll be okay. But don't tweak. Don't change. Don't come with
just be as honest as possible.
Honest. And actually, that gives you mileage. People will see this is the best person to have.
Yes.
He's not lying. She's not lying.
Saying the truth all the way.
Say the truth.
Okay. Now I have one burning question. When you're expectant, yes, should you include it anywhere in your documents?
No, I wouldn't advise anyone to include it on the document. If it is to come up, let it come up during the discussions, the face-to-face discussions. So, but not on your papers, not on cover letter, not on CV, not on email. No, that is information that you shouldn't. Okay. But when it comes to face-to-face discussions and you give an opportunity to express anything else, or when you realize we are moving on with the process, because you may come even the first time and you're not taken to the next level.
Yes.
So why go so much and give more information? And you see also, the thing is, if you're not really expectant with time, when you give your job, it's still okay till come to be.
Yes.
And also on the other hand, if you left someone out, according to the laws of Kenya, because they're expectant, then you are discriminating the person.
So that's a problem to the government itself.
It's a problem to us also. As an employer, it's a problem. So you shouldn't discriminate someone.
Yes.
But if you feel, okay, there are people who feel they want to disclose, you can disclose it. Okay. You can disclose it in an interview. You always ask you, is there anything else you want to say? Do you have any question? If you feel free to do it, you can do it. But a good employer will not disqualify you because you're pregnant.
Any parting shot to a viewer about seeking for a job and looking for a job, what not to do, anything we've left out?
Okay, when you're looking for a job, the first thing is ensure you have your CV correctly done, your cover letter the same, should be correct, and ensure you don't have mistakes. Now make sure it is nice. Spend time on it. Don't just do things very, very fast to apply for a job. No, think about it. Also try to get information about the company, get to understand who they are, what they do, so that you check on your values, because values matters a lot. You may get a good job, but when you get in there, their values. For example, maybe some people do devotions in the morning. To you, that one is a bother. So how do you manage that? You need to understand your values versus the values of the company. Once you understand, that becomes very easy. The other thing is try to be professional at all times. The recruitment process is a professional process, is a formal process. Let it remain that way. You're looking for a job, you want to get it, you want to see you in a professional manner, the way you dress. If it's interviews, be there on time, provide whatever is required. And if it's an advert that has been put, kindly follow the instructions of the company on how to apply, because that one can rule you out if you don't follow that.
I have been able to learn a lot from the CV, then we had our cover letter, and now we have learned about things that might affect your chances of getting hired. I hope you've gotten a lot from our able HR.
Which is Chuchu from our Tribal HR Solutions.
Thank you very much for being here on the Meet the HR segment, and it's a learning point, and we hope to see you very, very soon.
Yes, thank you so much. I'll be glad to come back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That has been the Meet the HR segment on The Right Show.